At approximately 6:30 in the evening, Central Time, between the quiet stretches of Turtle Lake and Clear Lake in Wisconsin, Brandon Miskulin captured a series of remarkable photographs that have quickly become the focus of intense discussion. Suspended against the fading sky was a luminous, cylindrical object, glowing with a segmented, almost ribbed structure that did not match the appearance, behavior, or light signature of any known satellite, including the well-known Starlink array. What Brandon recorded appeared to be something entirely different. It descended along a smooth, angled trajectory, moving with a controlled precision that immediately set it apart from conventional aircraft or space-based objects. In the moments before he raised his camera, Brandon could see that the object was not simply drifting. It appeared steady, deliberate, and unusually bright for its size. As he focused in, the cylinder revealed sharp, evenly spaced points of light running along its length, giving the impression of a structured craft rather than a tumbling fragment of debris. Most striking was the clarity of the object. Its lights remained consistent, not flickering or scattering like those of a satellite catching sunlight. Brandon later noted that the object maintained its form without distortion, even as it angled downward through the twilight. For many observers, the object's controlled descent is one of the strongest indicators that it was not a Starlink satellite. Starlink trains move in a predictable straight-line formation and present themselves as individual points of light, not as a single solid bar or elongated craft. They also travel horizontally across the sky, not downward. What Brandon photographed behaved nothing like them. This, combined with the object's uniform brightness and its segmented surface, has led many to conclude that whatever he encountered was something entirely unknown. The timing of Brandon's sighting only adds to the mystery. Over the past several months, reports from across the United States have surged, each describing similar glowing cylindrical craft. Eyewitnesses from states such as Texas, Arizona, Wisconsin, Florida, and Michigan have all submitted consistent accounts. Long, tube-shaped objects silently hovering over fields, forests, and suburban neighborhoods. These witnesses describe the objects as astonishingly quiet, often remaining motionless in the air as if defying gravity with ease. More unsettling are the claims that these craft leave the area at impossible speeds, vanishing in the blink of an eye without producing so much as a sound. In Brandon's case, the object did not appear to be drifting aimlessly, but rather moving with precision. The distinct downward path suggests intentional movement, which aligns closely with the descriptions that many other witnesses have provided. Some have reported that the objects seem to be scanning or observing the ground, occasionally shifting their orientation or brightness before rapidly departing the area. The idea that these sightings could be related, or even the same type of craft, has begun to gain traction among researchers and enthusiasts following Brandon's photographs. What makes this wave of sightings even more unusual is the consistency in shape and behavior. Unlike the varied descriptions of traditional unidentified objects, the cylinder sightings are specific and remarkably uniform. They are long, glowing, and segmented. They hover without sound. They maneuver with a level of control and agility far beyond that of modern aircraft. And when they leave, they do so with instantaneous acceleration that no known propulsion system can achieve. As these incidents continue to unfold, a growing number of residents across the United States believe that a cover-up is happening. Many eyewitnesses have expressed frustration, pointing out that official explanations rarely match what was actually seen. In several communities, individuals who reported these incidents noted that their sightings were quickly dismissed as satellites, drones, or aircraft, even when the descriptions did not remotely fit those categories. This pattern has caused many to suspect that authorities may be intentionally downplaying or redirecting attention away from these cylinder-shaped craft. The belief in a cover-up has only intensified as more images like Brandon's surface online. Residents argue that when multiple witnesses from different states describe the same object, hovering motionless, completely silent, and then vanishing at extraordinary speed, it becomes harder to accept the idea that all of these sightings are misidentifications. Instead, many feel that something far more significant is taking place, something that officials are reluctant to acknowledge publicly. Brandon's photographs, crisp and compelling, stand as some of the clearest visual evidence of these mysterious cylinders to date. In capturing these images, he has added an important piece to a growing body of reports that suggests something extraordinary may be occurring in the skies of the United States. As the number of witnesses continues to rise, and as more residents voice their concerns about a possible cover-up, the mystery deepens. More than ever, people are calling for openness, clarity, and honest discussion about what is being seen above their towns and cities. For now, Brandon's sighting remains one of the most striking examples, a rare, documented moment in which an unexplained object descended from the sky with unmistakable intent and clarity, leaving behind a mystery that grows deeper with each passing month and a public demanding answers. The mysterious claims made by former Israeli space security chief Haim Eshed sent shockwaves across the world in December 2020. As the former head of Israel's space program, Eshed was a figure of great authority, holding decades of experience in military intelligence and space research. When he publicly declared the existence of an alleged galactic federation, an advanced extraterrestrial alliance actively in contact with Earth governments, it wasn't just another UFO claim. It was a declaration that came from a highly credible, deeply entrenched figure within the global defense and space community. Eshed's claims, first reported in the Israeli publication Yediot Aharonot, outlined a secret collaboration between aliens and certain Earth authorities. He asserted that extraterrestrials had been communicating with Israel and the United States, and that these beings had requested not to reveal themselves to humanity until society was ready. According to Eshed, the aliens were conducting experiments on Earth and even had a shared underground base with the US government on Mars. These revelations seemed like something pulled from science fiction, yet Eshed presented them with the conviction of a man who had spent his life navigating classified corridors of power. The response to Eshed's claims was immediate and polarizing. Within hours, his interview circulated through global media outlets, igniting a firestorm of speculation and debate. To some, Eshed was a whistleblower, bravely pulling back the curtain on one of the most profound secrets in human history. To others, his comments were dismissed as the musings of someone well past his prime, perhaps misled or simply speculating. Yet, despite the divided reception, his remarks added momentum to ongoing global interest in the search for extraterrestrial life. Scientists, researchers, and UFO researchers alike began to re-examine Eshed's words. Could someone of his rank and expertise really be fabricating such a story, or was there a deeper truth he had chosen to reveal? Eshed's background gave his statements unusual weight. Far from a random individual, he had served as a brigadier general in Israeli military intelligence and led Israel's space security program for nearly 30 years. He played an instrumental role in launching over 20 Israeli satellites and was revered as the father of Israel's national space capability. He chaired important defense committees and was a long-time advisor to the Israel Space Agency. Over the years, he was awarded the Israel Defense Prize 3 times, the country's highest honor in defense and technology, for work considered classified even today. Following his 2020 interview, Eshed granted only a few follow-up interviews, maintaining a calm, measured tone. He claimed he was speaking out now because he felt it was time, especially as humanity had reached a level of awareness where such knowledge might not be dismissed outright. But while his public comments sparked fascination, what followed was even more curious. Just months after making international headlines, Eshed appeared to vanish from the public sphere. Those who had followed his claims eagerly anticipated future interviews, podcasts, or lectures, but major platforms reportedly failed to reach him. Invitations were unanswered. Scheduled appearances were quietly cancelled. Social media and news outlets that once buzzed with his name went silent. This sudden retreat sparked a new wave of speculation. Had Eshed been silenced? Was his disappearance voluntary, or was he pressured to recant, or at the very least remain quiet? One theory suggested that Israeli defense officials, threatened by his disclosures, had moved to suppress further commentary. Others believed that he may have been contacted by the very beings he spoke about. Podcasters and researchers began tracing his career, diving into the classified history of Unit 81, a shadowy Israeli intelligence unit Eshed had been connected to. This division is known for developing advanced military technology, much of which never reaches public knowledge. Those who examined his track record argued that Eshed's statements were likely not the random ideas of an aging official, but possibly rooted in highly classified experiences. There was also the psychological and philosophical angle to consider. Many former military and intelligence officials who come forward later in life often do so driven by a desire to unburden themselves. For some, the secrecy becomes too heavy. Others feel a moral obligation to share what they know, especially if they believe the information could reshape humanity's understanding of the cosmos. In Eshed's case, some have interpreted his timing as a signal of such urgency. With retirement behind him and his legacy cemented, perhaps he felt it was safe to speak, only to realize that the system he'd served for so long would not tolerate disclosure. His claims about the Galactic Federation were not vague. They were detailed and structured. He spoke of agreements between humans and aliens, joint bases, and an intergalactic body monitoring humanity's progress. These were not the ramblings of someone speculating on the unknown. They were the kind of specifics that imply briefings, meetings, and decades of observation. Despite his credibility, the scientific establishment was reluctant to acknowledge Eshed's story. Still, the silence surrounding Eshed's sudden withdrawal from public life raised important questions. Why had someone with so much to lose chosen to speak so boldly, only to disappear from the discussion? One of the most concerning reports came from a journalist who claimed to have attempted contact with Eshed through academic and government channels. The journalist reported that not only was Eshed unavailable, but those close to him had been instructed not to discuss the matter. This only further fueled speculation that intervention had taken place at a high level. Others took a more mystical approach, suggesting that Eshed's disappearance was linked to the Federation itself. If these beings were monitoring Earth, and if disclosure had occurred without their approval, it stood to reason that steps may have been taken, by humans or otherwise, to ensure no further information leaked. Then there's the possibility of psychological conditioning or memory alteration, a concept not uncommon in speculative research related to extraterrestrial contact. Could Eshed have undergone such a procedure following his revelations? Some researchers believe that certain individuals, when they come too close to sensitive knowledge, are encouraged, if not forced, to forget or recant. The lack of follow-up interviews has left many questions. Those who once dismissed him now revisit his words, especially as interest in UFOs has grown. With Pentagon acknowledgements of unexplained craft and whistleblower testimonies surfacing in the US, Eshed's statements from 2020 now appear in a different light, perhaps not so implausible. Today, the whereabouts of Haim Eshed remain unclear. There are no public appearances, statements, or interviews. His sudden disappearance from the narrative after shaking the foundations of what we think we know about extraterrestrial life remains one of the most baffling elements of his story. Was Eshed silenced for saying too much, or did he simply retreat into privacy after facing backlash? Did he regret revealing what he knew, or was he prevented from saying more? Until these questions are answered, the legacy of Haim Eshed's claims about the Galactic Federation will linger as one of the most mysterious chapters in the modern discussion of life beyond Earth.